So I just replaced a water pump a year ago, and this is an AutoZone special. Was not cheap by any means, but it failed. So today I'm going to be replacing the water pump in my 2016 F250, and it's not too difficult of a job, but there is a fair amount of stuff you got to take off. You got to take this box off, you got to take the power steering pump, or the power steering fluid reservoir off, and you need to take the fan shroud off so that you can remove the fan and then pull the water pump out. Here's one. There's one screw that holds this box right here, right down in there. You'll also remove that one. Same thing over here. One screw right there and one screw right here. They're all 8mm. So that's how you'll remove that fan shroud. And then of course, take this off. So you'll loosen this up, and then also right back in there, you'll loosen that one up so you can pull that off. When pulling out that fan shroud, there are 2 bolts down underneath. And so this is underneath the passenger side. That bolt right there, it's an 8mm. That one needs to come out, and then there's one on the other side, the exact same location on the other side, on the driver's side. Alright, so what I had to do was use a pipe wrench, because I didn't have any crescent wrenches that were the right size to loosen this. It only took like maybe 1/8 of a turn to get it loose, if it was even that much. Now that will come off of there. All right, there it is. So now all this should come right out of there. I gotta reach down in there and grab that before it goes smashing to the ground. So once you get that fan off there and pull that fan shroud out, you have plenty of room. There's more than enough room in the front end here. So I get my breaker bar to release tension off the serpentine belt. And then we'll pull these 4 bolts off and then take the water pump out. And it should be fairly straightforward and pretty simple. So these are 10mm. and they should come right off. Alright, so this here, you will probably need to use some type of breaker bar to get that off of there. I've been messing around with it for a couple minutes now, and it's almost about ready to come off. Alright, there it is. Alright, and of course you'll want a pan down underneath the vehicle to catch all the antifreeze that'll come out. Alright, so I'm going to just take a little steel wool and clean that up a little bit, and then just wipe that off with a shop rag, because I want this new one to seat in here properly. Alright, so I got the new one in place and just started putting the bolts in. You want to take these bolts in as evenly as possible so that you get a nice seat with that seal, so that way it doesn't leak. So there's with all the bolts tightened down. You really don't got to tighten them down very much. I'm sure there's torque specs somewhere. I don't know what they are, but you don't got to make them very tight, just snug. Alright, so I got this back on. Same with these bolts here, you just snug them up. You don't have to make them real tight, just snug. And I am actually going to run to the auto parts store and get an idler pulley for here and also for over here. I'm just going to replace them while I have this all apart. So I just got back from the auto parts store, and I'm going to switch out these idler pulleys. This is a 14, I believe. Actually 14, a little big. It must be a 13. I'll double check on that. Alright, so it's actually a 13 mil. My idler pulleys weren't bad yet, but with living on gravel roads, it's very common for them to go bad. And since I have all this stuff off there, it's just easier to do it right now. So, I don't know if you can see because of the shadows or not, but there's definitely a lot of junk, a lot of dust from gravel roads up in these. And like I said, it just makes more sense to replace them while I have all this stuff off. Put the serpentine belt back on. That I'm gonna need both hands for, so I will have to set the camera down. Alright, so got the serpentine belt back on. Now I'm going to put the fan shroud and the fan back on. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not because of the lighting, but right here is a little tab on this fan shroud, and these little tabs break off very easily. So what I've seen guys do is drill a little hole through there and run a zip tie through it so it can't come off. So that's what I did. When I replaced the water pump on this a year and a half ago, or a year ago, those little tabs broke off, so I drilled the holes through them then, and basically just run a little zip tie through there. So I got everything back together. Got all the little screws back in that hold the fan shroud in place. And now it's good to go. I hope this video was a help. Please like and subscribe if it was.